Hey RT, I'm going to work through some of the spots on this video for you. I may have to break this into 2 videos because I only have a certain amount of time and the kids will be home, and then I'll make another one. So we'll see how far I get. We're going to talk about section L and M. So you mentioned speed for that one, not so much fingerings. I will try to take pictures of my music and just include the picture. I believe you guys said that that was more helpful with looking at fingerings, but I think you pretty much have the fingerings. There are a couple of fingerings that I sort of added as I was pushing the tempo a little bit. For example, and I'll just kind of just come over and show this. So I'm looking at the page with L, section L, okay? So here's section L. I'm gonna get a little closer, okay? And as you get into the second line down here, I needed to mark to do this A sharp with a sharp 4, okay, which feels really strange, but it's probably your best bet to go ahead and do that with a sharp 4. So a few things like that. Let's see. If I get any others, I'll take a picture of it and you can see. But I'm just trying to give you what I have right now. I mean, this is a huge piece, so I can't have all of it completely ready for you guys because this is intense. Okay, so now when we talk about section M, okay, there are some fingerings in here that I think I mentioned to you that I was trying to save you guys from having to do the octaves, the 1 4 1 4, where you have to jump around. But as I played it, the more I played it and the speed of it, you just can't. So even though it seems harder to do these shifts in the middle of this, it's actually harder if you don't do the shifts because of the bow. It's so all over the place, this section M. It's bouncing from the G to the E and back, and it's just insane. And so wherever you can minimize those string changes, it makes it easier in your ability to do it. The more I get used to it, the better it is with the 1 4 1 4. I say that though, having practiced octaves a lot in scale forms, and you guys have not. So, you know, take that with a grain of salt. Do the best you can. It might come easier. You might get the hang of it, but you know, don't beat yourself up if you haven't. We can work on octaves in the summer if you want to. Okay, it's probably a good idea. Okay, octaves are tough. Okay, so in section, let's start with L and then we'll move to M. I'm gonna do sort of more some playthrough and just demonstration for you. So, okay. First of all, when I was listening to a recording of this, it's not the first movement, by the way. It's the 4th and the 5th movement. So it's not the first movement. So if you're listening, you can find Symphony number 9 and you need to find movement 4 and 5. And depending on the recording, that might be one thing, but on the one I found, it was 2 separate recordings for 4 and 5. It had 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, okay? So there's that. I found it on Spotify. It is very hard to hear your part in a lot of it. You have to really, really listen to hear your part. So if we're talking about this page, so starting in, say, K, before we get into L, I just want to say that the recording I listened to, it is faster than 84. So if we, you know, the last tempo marking that we see before you get to K, it says that your dotted quarter note is 84. Okay, so I go to 84. I'm really just talking about these triplets that you have starting after K. Okay, so bum 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 dee da 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 bum 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 bum. That would sort of be the speed. But when I listened to it on a recording, it was a lot faster than that. It was closer to 100, maybe 110 even. So if I bump it up to, say, let's say 105, let's go in the middle. Okay, So that is significant, okay? The 84 is definitely more doable. 105, tricky, okay? So figure out what speed he's going right there, what he wants from you guys, because it doesn't say, but I think it's faster than 84. So 84 is a great goal though, so start there. Now, when we're playing at these speeds, so speed, you want to know how to get faster. So let's see, I'm not going to play the whole thing right now. Let me just demonstrate a little bit. So I am going to go down to 84. Let's just start there. Well, I'm not going to play, I was about to do K, but you want L. So let's talk about L, and we'll start at 84, but I do think it's faster. I think M is slower. It's not quite as fast as K, so, but it's still pretty quick because it's all over the place. So when it comes to section L, the trick here is the division of notes. It's syncopated. That's the problem, is that you have these changes of notes that are off the beat. They're not changed. It's not nice and neat. So for example, in measure 503, actually, let's go to measure 510. Okay, so it's the very last line, first measure, measure 510. It's triplet, triplet, da dee da da dee da. Everything's changing right on the bigger beat, and that's so much easier for us to find. We can do that, okay? But if you go 2 lines up, so that from 495, as you get into that line, you have a lot of things that are changing off of the big beat. And so that's probably what's throwing a lot of you off. And it's kind of hard to feel it a little bit. So let me see if I can play through it there for you. I'm going to do it first without the metronome. Starting at L. Okay. I may have played a wrong number of notes in measure 501. So let's see if I can get it this next time. So I'm playing it really short right now and sort of stodgy. It does bounce a little bit, not at this speed, but let's try it a little bit faster. So that line 495, so the second line of L, that's where all your syncopation is happening, and that's the part that you sort of need to get it in your head what it sounds like. This is really hard to explain on video, I gotta tell you. I'm gonna do this at 80. Let's see how this goes. Let's see. Okay, here I go. Ready, and I'm really trying to emphasize in this slower practice, 1 da da 2 da da 1 da da 2 da da. Okay, so your first group of 3 notes in a typical measure with triplets, your strawberry, 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 right? The first one is down bow, starts down bow and the second one starts up bow. And so we sort of accent that down and up to help us keep track of where we are. Strawberry, 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 strawberry. Now, I'm exaggerating right now a lot so that you can hear that on a video, but it's okay to exaggerate it for practice, just so you can sort of find it. Now, where you have the syncopations, your bow is changing in sort of weird places. So, for example, in 495, you have to sort of figure out what bow is changing on what note, because they're in weird places. So if I start in 495, right there we have down, up, up. So I'm gonna write that in and show you what I mean. And sometimes that's the difference between you being able to do it and not do it. You just need to know what bow you change note on. And we can talk about that more in your lesson. So for example, right here, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. I can't sing that low. Ba, 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 ba. Okay, so notice that I've marked it. Where else did that really help me? I wanted to tell you. Oh, so for example, down here at the very end, you have all these B's in a row. And it's very confusing when to change right here, and just, you know, it's so hard to sort of measure that because you only have one solid triplet in the middle and you have two on either side, and it's just hard to feel it. So I'm feeling B, da, da, triplet, da, da, ba, ba, ba. And I needed to know that I changed note here on a down bow. So I put a down bow there, and then I changed note here. That note is an up bow. And so even though I know that in my head, I needed to see it while I'm playing it in order to do it that fast. Okay, so mark any bowings on any of those that are throwing you off a little bit. So if I play this faster for you, okay. Let's see if I can play it faster for you. I definitely want to set the notes. Okay, this is 92. Just to demonstrate the bow for you, because that's where the speed is. 1, 2, ready, and. Okay, so let's try it a little bit faster. Definitely the hardest line is 495, I feel like. Let me try that again from L through that second line. 1, 2, ready, and. What is going on there? Bum, ba, bum, dun, 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 dun. Okay. So this syncopation right here at 495, you know, the first, let's see if I can. 1, 2, 1, da, 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 da. This, you know, we get used to this longer sort of a tie, but then this tie is not that long. It's just a little bit shorter, and so ba 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 moves really fast. So bum ba bum ba 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 bum. That was wrong. Sorry. Let me try again. Ba bum bum da 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 da. That part is really quick. Okay, so it's getting that on the right time. I was trying to, let's see, ba ba bum. When I land on the downbeat that follows it, I'm trying to make sure that I'm on the beat when I hear it on the metronome, and I wasn't a couple of times, but that would be sort of an indication that you landed the right place. Okay, so I'll try a little faster for you one last time, and then we'll go to M. But I will say that throughout this whole thing, notes are going to get lost. And when I was listening on that recording, there's so much happening over top of these areas. You know, there's singing going on. I don't know if you guys are having a choir with it, but on the recording, there's a big choir and there's all this noise happening. And first violins are doing a lot, cellos are doing a lot, there's winds doing a lot, and this part really gets buried a lot. Like, it has to be there, but a lot of notes don't get heard. So learn how to keep up. Certain notes may not speak, and you've got to just get to the higher points of each line. Get to the parts that are heard. And if you miss like one of those lower notes a little bit, and you got to get to one of those upper notes because it jumps a lot, then just get there, and don't worry about it. So I hate to tell you how to cheat on video, but yeah, okay. So I'll try it at 100, okay? Let's see what happens. 1, 2, ready, and. Okay, so let's try that. You may want to lift. That was a little rough. I didn't really have time to drill it a lot. So, but the bounce of the bow, if you go up to 100 on this area, you would bounce then. So lower than that, you just keep it really close to the string and small. But once you get to about 100, it sort of bounces. Okay. And then in the top of the next page, from measure 517, those longer ones, I did sort of retake my bow before the short note. So So that seems like a lot of work, but there's a sort of a space to do it. Nobody would hear you sort of like lift and do that. What we need to hear is ba-bum more than the end of the long note. So if you cut it off a little and just make that smooth, otherwise you're going to get, we're going to be working really hard on every up bow, and it's going to sound kind of crazy. So something to think about. Okay, let's go to M. So this is pretty crazy right here, I got to admit. So the octaves, there's a lot of things changing, not on the beat again. So you've got a lot of weird changes on weird bowings. So write those bows in on anything that's tripping you up, because there's a string change and a sequence change on an odd note. So feel free to write down bow or up bow, whatever helps you to get through there. If I go through this more, I'll probably find some places to put in there, and then when I see you again, maybe I can show you. So I definitely noticed it a lot in where from measure 560. So if you look at 560, that line kind of needs some bows just on everywhere it changes. It's kind of all over the place. Okay, so I'm going to play this at a slower speed for you just so you can hear it. I'm going to give it a try. Okay, here we go. So starting at M. I'm noticing that what I want to say, there's so many string changes that this one is a little bit more on the string. You can't bounce where you have all these string changes. So hopefully you can see me doing that with my bow. So in particular, like the octaves, it's just on the string and tiny, but it's got to be down here so you can seesaw your bow right there very easily. So if I started right before those octaves, just watch my bow. I'm trying not to go very far at all. And because I'm doing it slow, I mean, I could use more bow, but I don't want to because ultimately that's how big it's going to be, that big. And it's going to, the smaller you make it in your slow practice, the easier it'll be as you go faster. So keep it really small. Okay. So watch again. Okay, I think that last line is actually trickier than it seems. The notes aren't that hard, but that last line, it goes from way up high on the E string to way down low on the G string. It's really hard. So there's that. The notes aren't that confusing. It's just a big jump. So hopefully I can help you with that more. So let me try it for you a little bit faster. What else was I going to tell you? Oh, there's definitely some places where I had to write open on some of these A's where you're jumping. Okay, so let's see if I can show you. So for example, in the second to last line of it, where you have this low A, and we jump up, usually we do that with a 4, but sometimes the open kind of works, and you're doing big string changes anyway. So, you know, if you feel inclined to do the open, go ahead and do it because you have to shift later, you know, so open and then open. Where was it that I really needed to mark it? Over here after the fortissimo, which is I'm looking at the second full line. So here's measure 553. Go all the way to the, oh shoot, that's not right, sorry. Okay, measure 560. Go all the way to the end, there's a fortissimo. That very last 2 A's I marked open. Normally I would do a 4 there, but right after that you've got a shift. So, and that snuck up on me. I needed to mark open right there so that I could get that shift, okay? So, and I find that this figure, this A, whatever, can't sing that. If you know, use a 4 if you feel okay with it and you don't have a shift. There is 1 or 2 like that. But if you want to do the open for all of them, I'd say go for it. Okay. And some of those low notes, like try to hit them, but if you don't quite hit them, it's more that you sort of get those popping out high things that sort of pop out of the texture. Okay, I'm going to try this a little bit faster with a metronome for you, okay? Okay, this is 95. Let's see. Let's see if I get through it. I have to drill this stuff too, y'all. This is hard. Okay. Ready, ready, go. Okay, so I do notice also that this whole section, it says that it's fortissimo. I mean, you got to back off a little bit. One, for your practice. You can't practice this at fortissimo, drilling it again and again and again. You'll be so worn out. Your hands will hurt. You just can't. So back off. You probably noticed that I wasn't playing it full out because I'm just drilling the left hand and the bow, but I mean, I need to conserve a little bit of my muscle energy, you know, because you'll just wear yourself out on sections like this. So keep it in the right part of the bow, keep it small, and just relax. Try to keep it small and calm and on the string until you're starting to really get the notes and the patterns and all that stuff. And then as you start to feel like you're getting it, then when you try to push the tempo a little bit, you can start to add some of the flavor, if you will. But I wouldn't work so hard to make this ridiculously loud because there's volume coming from other places. And this is sort of a background noise that you almost can't even hear. So not that you should play a piano, but you know, if playing it fortissimo knocks you out of the game, don't do that. Play it at a mezzo forte, but keep it steady. So because it can. And then as you get comfortable, you can play more as you can keep up. Okay, so I'm going to stop it there, and then hopefully tomorrow I can maybe talk about those other pages that you had put in there. So hope this helps. This one's a little bit hard to go through without you here. So I'll do my best on the other sections for you tomorrow. Okay? Good luck. Bye.